It was late when I heard the knocking on my door, a loud rapping that woke me in the dead of night. I live alone in seclusion, far away from civilization, and hadn't been expecting any visitors, so you can imagine how the sound of someone hammering on my front door at 2 a.m. would immediately cause me to become worrisome. For a few moments, I laid in bed, hoping that the noises would cease and whoever was on the other side of the flimsy wooden barricade separating the inside of my home from whatever unknown horrors lurked in the dark outside would become disinterested and go away. But the knocking only became louder and more rapid. My home isn't really very big, just a small 3-room cabin in the middle of the woods, one that's been in my family for generations. My front door is made of red pine, which isn't the sturdiest of materials. I tried to convince myself that the clamor was just from an animal of some sorts, but deep down in the pit of my stomach, I knew that no woodland creature would beat on my door the way it was currently being pounded on. The knocking was coming so fast and furious now that I was afraid that whatever was the cause of the horrible clatter would eventually break through and into my living room. I looked for places to hide in my tiny cabin in the event that my front door did collapse and I was exposed to my late-night tormentor. My wardrobe! The old wooden wardrobe in my room was the place I went when I was a child to feel safe. It always brought me to a certain amount of comfort that I was in desperate need of at the moment. I ran to the wardrobe and reached out for the handle, but paused when I noticed the knocking had ceased. I waited for a bit, holding my breath, expecting to hear the noise begin anew, but it never came. I tried to lay back down in bed and doze off, but the whole incident had left me too spooked to sleep. There would only be one way for me to be able to fall back to sleep again, and I knew what it was. I had to check outside and see for myself that whatever had been rattling at my door had gone away. One lap around my cabin would be all that I needed before I could fall back to dreamland again. Cautiously, I opened the front door to my home. The moon and the stars above provided just enough light for me to see where I was going. I turned each corner, certain that I would come face to face with a demon, one with a face of rotting flesh and empty eye sockets. I feared a creature with jagged teeth, goat horns, and a body covered in scales would leap from the rooftop of my cabin and pounce on me before I could make it back inside. But these things did not happen. I turned each corner of my tiny cabin and found nothing but darkness and the pine trees surrounding my home. I shut the door behind me as I entered my home, finally content and comfortable for the first time since before the knocking began, and got back into bed. I pulled the covers up to my neck and slowly started to drift back off to sleep. But once more, that horrible knock woke me from my slumber. A knock that I will remember for the rest of my life. A knock that still terrifies me to this day. I screamed when I heard it because this time it was coming from inside my wardrobe.